Hi there, I'm Ludwig and this is Data Platform Microlearning. In the previous episode on this YouTube channel, I promised you that I will build a join between three different tables, three different denormalized tables that we drew in here in the live demo. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I do have my Azure Data Studio opened and I'm connecting to the localhost SQL Express instance to the AdventureWorks database. Now, all of the terms that I've just used right now, including the instance, including the localhost instance, including the SQL Express edition of SQL Server, and how to get Azure Data Studio and how to install the new SQL Server instance, all of those are already explained in detail in the Data Platform Microlearning YouTube channel. So don't forget to subscribe and go through all of those videos if you have any questions. And if you do have additional questions at the end, make sure that you leave the comment and I will make sure to respond with the video. So yeah, somewhere in there is a subscribe button for you. But right now I do see those three tables in here. I see sales LT address, sales LT customer, sales LT custom address. Again, what the sales LT prefix means, it's also explained in the different videos. So my goal right now is to get information about my customer and my address together using the customer address table. All right, so I do see the information about my customers. I need to explore, right? I'm learning right now from the very beginning. So I do see top 10,000 of my customers. I see their IDs, name styles, titles, first names, last names, blah, blah, company names, and so on and so forth. So let me just get rid of all of the information that I will not need at all, like when they were modified, their row, global unique identifier, their password hash and salt, their phone, their email address, their salesperson. I'll just leave their first name, last name, maybe the middle name as well, their title, because it tells me whether they are Mr. or Mrs. or Miss as well, and there is someone without a title as well there, and the name style doesn't matter, but the customer ID is something that they definitely want to see, and I don't need to limit that to top 1000 rows because I want to see all of that rows in there, even though, again, if you'll take a quick look in here, you see that my total rows, total number of customers is 847. Now, at the very same time, what I do have in here is my address table, right? So this is my first query. I'll just leave it in here. And the second query I want to build is to see those addresses in there. And as you can see, even though I have 847 customers, I do see only 450 rows in address table. All right, so what I want to do is I want to do the very same thing. I want to get rid of top 1000. I do see the address ID. I will need that in just a moment. Address line 1, address line 2. Address line 2 is null most of the time, but somewhere in there I will see some info, like let's say in here you see the address ID number 589. It's a one dancing road 25, and then I have box 8033 in Round Rock, Texas, and I definitely don't want to leave that out, so I'll leave the address line 2 and the postal code and country, region, and state province is all information that I do need in there as well. So again, if I'll run this query, it will be way clearer for me right now. Boom, I have all of the info necessary. Now, as you can see, I cannot connect these two together, right? I don't have a shared space between sales customer and sales between the address table and the customer table, right? You already know, if you watched any other episode or the episode about joins on Data Platform Microlearning, you know that we do need a key between those two tables in order to get them connected. And this is exactly what this table customer address is for, because this table contains the information about the customer IDs, about the addresses IDs, right? So again, make sure that you subscribe to see that video as well. But right now I want to connect these two. How do I do that? Well, let me first of all take a quick peek on what do I have in my customer's address table. As you can see, indeed You don't see that, and here we go. A customer address table. So I do see that in the customer address table, I see the customer ID and address ID plus one additional column about address type, because as we discussed in the previous video, some of my customers, they may have multiple addresses. As you can see, my customer number 29503, they do have the separate address for shipping and the separate address for billing, which is their main office. So what I want to do, again, getting rid of the raw GUID and modified data as well, I right now have those three separate queries which will give me all of the necessary information. So let me just put them all together, not like that, but like that. I need to go back and copy that because my virtual machine does not let me, or maybe it does. Hold on a sec. Not like this, but like this. Control C. Nope, it does not let me to send the keyboard shortcut just like that. This is the difference between Windows and Mac machines. So I'll just paste it in here. Boom, I have the second query. I don't need to limit that to 1000 rows neither. And then somewhere in there, I also had my third query. So this one is something I can close. And there's my first original query in here, which I'll also copy. I'll get rid of it in here, and then I'll paste it right here. Boom. So what you're seeing here, since right now I don't need anything else in there, I'll just switch my appearance to the Zen mode. And again, we also have the video on what the Zen mode is in Azure Data Studio. But right now, I want to connect those three queries together, right? You can see that each one of them, it has the different, it has this one key element. In my sales address table, it's address ID. In my customer table, it's a customer ID. Boom. And since they don't work together, I do have this third table that has both of them. So what I'll do right now is I'll create a join between those three tables. So I want to have, you know what, let me just put those in different order. Yes, I want to have the customer ID first. So at the very top, in here. I want to have the customer ID first, and then I want to move this query in here as well. Now, why am I doing that? Is because it will be easier for you to see what's going on. So what I want to do first is I want to connect these first two tables together. So customer ID or customer table with the customer address table. Right now, again, what I'm working on is to get the information from or to connect these two tables together. Let me just use the different coloring here. I want to connect these two tables together because I do have the customer ID in here and customer ID in here. So having that said, I will just say, all right, dear SQL Server, show me all of that information from sales customer that I want to join with this table, customer address, ta-da. But I'm missing the ingredient. Well, my ingredient is customer ID being the same in both tables. Now, as you remember that my join requires having non-ambiguous column names, because right now SQL Server is like, okay, so you want me to pull the information, this information from this table and from this table, but which customer ID is which, right? Which table I should pull the information from? So I need to alias both of them. Let's call this one just C, and let's call this one just CA, as in customer address. So I'll say that the C customer ID table should be the same as CA customer ID column. And this one will go from my C table as well. Now, this query runs without the issue, but I do see the exact same information, right? But thanks to this join, I can already pull the information about their address ID. And this address ID, as you remember, comes already from the customer address table, right? So this one will come. It's not required anymore to write that prefix, but just for you to remember about it. Boom, execute. I do have a link, basically speaking, a link to this other table. Now, once I do have this address already, this address ID already, what I can do is I can add another join where I want to join this column in here. So sales LT address, copy that and paste it in here. Boom. Again, I need to provide the reason why I want to join those two. So I want to join those two where the customer address ID is the same one as the address table's address ID column. So let me just alias this as A, and this way I can refer to it as A address ID. And this way I connected those three tables together. Again, I do have the address ID, but I can already pull all of that information from the other table. So let me just copy that info in here, paste it in here. Boom. And you can see that this information comes from my customer table. Then I do have the address ID from the customer address table, and the rest is already from the address table. If I'll select this entire thing or remove those leftovers from the other queries, if I run these queries, tadam, run, I do see all of the customer information. I do see the same address ID that is in both tables. That's because this customer ID pair or address ID pair is here in the customer address table. And then I can pull all of the information about my customers. Now, the last thing that left is that whenever you're pulling your information from your using your joins, you see that right now I have 417 rows, right? So this 417 rows, you may remember that we do have 450 addresses and we had 847 customers, right? Now what's going on? Again, when we have joins, when we're building joins, when we're writing join, it is truly an inner join. And in a separate video on Data Platform Microlearning, I've already explained how those joins work and what are the differences between those different joins. If I'll just add the keyword inner, it will not change my results at all. I'll still see 417 rows because it's exactly what inner or what join means. Join and inner join, the same thing. So what I may want to do is I may want to find all of the rows that, for example, I want to find all of the customers that do not have addresses, or maybe the addresses that do not have customers. These are leftovers after some deletes, after some updates, after some changes that were made to my database, and so on and so forth. But again, this is something that we already described on Data Platform Microlearning, so don't forget to subscribe. Go through all of those videos if anything is unclear to you, and I'll make sure that I'll get you up and running in no time. So I hope that this example, both this one that I drew out and explained in theory in a previous episode, and this one that I just presented to you in the form of a demo, clarifies everything. If you want to upgrade your skill set, if you want to become a true pro in database, and everything will be super clear for you as you've seen, as it is on this demo in here, don't forget to, of course, subscribe to Data Platform Microlearning, but also go to SQL Bootcamp Online and I'll get you up and running in no time. See you in the next episode. Thank you guys.